My beloved child, now listen with all your heart, for what I am about to speak is not merely a reminder. It is the awakening bell for your soul. The days of comfort are drawing to a close, and the door to a new season is opening, one clothed in reverence that you have not yet tasted. It is not my desire to frighten you, but because I love you too much to allow you to remain in the sweet deception that the world has set before you. The walls you believed were your shelter have been decaying from within. You thought you were covered and protected, but in truth, you have been lulled to sleep by things that dull your spirit. And I can no longer remain silent. I am clearing the battlefield. The things that once surrounded you as protective layers will now begin to fall away, one by one, until you are brought face to face with the bare truth. You cannot lean on temporary things to fulfill an eternal calling. I am purifying you, not to cast you out and abandon you, but to lead you into the place my hand has prepared. You have lived too long in a false sense of peace, unaware that you have been slowly drifting from the source of life. You cannot carry those things into the next season, for they will become burdens. They will become chains, and some may even become sparks that ignite destruction when the strong wind begins to blow. My child, I know you are not yet ready. I see the anxiety in your heart, the tug of war between what you know you must do and what you are reluctant to let go of. But I am not looking for someone who is already prepared. I am seeking a soul that is willing to surrender. And if you are willing to lay everything before me, both what you think is good and what you have not dared to admit is toxic, then I will do the impossible within you. I will turn the desert in your soul into springs of living water. I will transform your brokenness into a solid foundation. And from the very fragments you thought were useless, I will write a new chapter no one ever expected. You once believed that staying in peace and avoiding straying too far would be enough. But child, I did not call you to merely be fine. I called you to burn with fire. I called you to shake the darkness with the light that radiates from the deepest part of your spirit, the place that once knew me, that once wept in my presence, but that has long lacked the courage to confront the weight of my voice. I have waited. I have been patient. I have knocked on the door of your heart, through the quiet moments, through fractured dreams, through seemingly random encounters that I myself orchestrated. But now, I no longer come like a gentle breeze. I come like a sacred whirlwind, not to destroy you, but to sweep away everything that does not belong to me. Child, you no longer have time to delay. The slumber of your soul has lasted long enough. The moment has come for your spirit to awaken. The time has come for you to choose between the call of heaven and the seduction of the world. The voices of this age will try to hold you back. They will promise comfort, recognition, success. But all of it is an illusion without me. You cannot hold my hand while clinging to the world. You cannot plead for my guidance while walking in your own way. I need you to be resolute. I need you to choose. You will ask, but how can I prepare when I do not understand what is coming? And I say to you, preparation does not begin with understanding. It begins with surrender. When you place your hand into mine, when you let go of what you cannot control and open your heart to what you have never imagined, that is when the preparation begins. Not by your strength, not by human strategy, but by my presence, by the one who knows your tomorrow and walks with you in every moment of today. My fire is coming, not a fire of destruction, but a fire of refining. It will burn away every trace of hypocrisy, every mask, every hint of complacency, and everything you've clung to in order to convince yourself that you're still doing fine. I will no longer allow deception to cling to you. You have been chosen to live in truth. Truth with yourself, truth with me, and truth with the calling upon your life. And that cannot begin if you continue to hide, to deny, to hold on to the fragments of a life that was never meant for you. My child, be courageous. Courageous enough to release. Courageous enough to take the next step. Courageous enough to believe. Not because you are fully prepared, but because I am the one who will lead you each step of the way. I do not promise that you will never feel lonely, but I do promise that you will never be forsaken. I do not say that you will not feel pain, but I do say that this pain will lead to life. And I never allow anything to come to pass unless it is moving you closer to the eternal purpose I etched into you before the foundations of this world. So, my beloved, resist no longer. Do not delay the yes that I've been waiting to hear from within your heart. Do not keep finding excuses to justify your spiritual delay, for the time has come. Grace is knocking at your door. My arms are outstretched, and in this moment, what I require from you is not perfection, but total surrender. Let me take you into the path where every false covering will fall away, where every chain will be broken. Let your mind be still before me, like calm waters awaiting the reflection of the morning sun. Because in that stillness, you will finally hear what you have been missing all along. My voice. A voice not thundering like the storm, but stronger than any noise this world can make. Stop deceiving yourself, my child. I know how you have pacified your heart with logical rationalizations, with justifications wrapped in moral appearance, with a faith that seems steady but lacks true roots in my presence. What is coming is not senseless punishment. I am not a God who rages without cause. Nor do I strike just to prove my might. No. What is coming is a divine dismantling, a holy tearing down of what no longer belongs to you. Structures that once held you up, but now only keep you trapped in a false sense of security. It is the necessary unraveling of what is no longer rooted in me, of what you have built on sand rather than on the rock. I have seen you hide behind achievements, behind the titles you use to cover the fear of being forgotten. I've watched you wrap yourself in religious expressions like armor, approaching me in form, but staying distant from me in heart. You've grown accustomed to the rhythm of serving, while your soul withers for lack of true communion with me. I've seen the times you read my word, but your thoughts were elsewhere. I've heard your prayers spoken aloud, yet your heart stayed locked away, afraid that if it opened, my light would expose corners you weren't ready to face. You have worshipped control, clung to familiarity, and bowed to the sweet fear of at least it's not worse. You've placed your hope in relationships more than in the covenant I've made with you. You've leaned on reasoning, on logic, on human strategies, rather than depending on the leading of my spirit. And because everything still functions, you thought I was pleased. But I have not come to maintain the systems you built. I have come to tear them down, to rebuild something entirely new on a foundation that cannot be shaken. My very self. This is not the time for you to justify yourself. It is not the time to make excuses like, "This season is too difficult," or "Everyone else is doing it," or "I'm just trying to survive." I did not call you to merely survive. I called you to live in the fullness of life. And to step into that, I must break the things you've clung to, even if they seem harmless or even good. Because if it does not come from me, then sooner or later it will destroy you. Remember this. Breaking is not the end. Breaking is the doorway to a new beginning. When the old vessel is shattered, then I can pour the new wine. When the walls of pride and pretense collapse, then I can lay my hands to build the true temple, not one made of bricks and stones, but of genuine worship and deep surrender. My child, if you feel as though things are being stripped away, if everything seems out of control, it is not because I have abandoned you. On the contrary, it is because I am drawing near, so near that I cannot allow anything that is not of me to remain within you. I know it frightens you. I know you hoped I would only make a few adjustments, repair a few cracks, upgrade a few minor things. But beloved, I am not a makeup artist. I am the God of rebirth. I did not come to decorate your old life, but to make you entirely new from the inside out. That is why the breaking must come. Because without it, you would never let go of what has been silently killing you. I love you far too much to let you settle for an average life. I love you so much that I am willing to let you be upset with me for a season, if it means rescuing your soul for eternity. I love you enough to not tolerate the compromises that are eating away at your faith. And I will never make peace with pretense, because I am holy. And if you belong to me, then you too must be refined in that holiness. So, my child, do not be afraid when everything around you begins to shake. Do not mistake the shaking as a sign that I've left you. In fact, it is the clearest sign that I am drawing near. When the wind grows stronger, when things that once stood firm begin to tremble, know that I am stepping into your room, not to accuse, but to redeem, not to shame you, but to restore your true identity in my kingdom. If you let me work in your heart, if you do not resist when my light exposes the hidden places, you will witness the miraculous. Where fear once lived, courage will rise. Where secrecy ruled, freedom will blossom. Where shame weighed you down, you will behold the glory that only I can give. And you will no longer live weary from the pressure to maintain an image. You will live freely in the truth that you are my child, unconditionally loved, eternally chosen, and sent forth with power from heaven. So come low, beloved. You don't have to be strong. Come close to me in truth, with tears if necessary, with empty hands but an open heart. I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to be honest. And if you do that, then the breaking will not be the end. It will be the beginning of the most beautiful thing you have ever known. A beginning not birthed by human effort but by my own hand, your Creator. This is why I continue to calling you to awaken from the seemingly harmless spiritual slumber, calling you to step out of the comforts of the flesh and face the spiritual reality you were created to live fully within. I am not calling you to burden you. I am calling you because I know that if you remain asleep in the safety zone, if you keep delaying true transformation, you will lose the most precious thing of all, your truest self in me. My child, it is time to wake up, not just to know, but to be ready, not just to hear my voice, but to respond with deep obedience. I have withheld nothing from you. I have spoken plainly, and now I emphasize it once more. There will be a removal. But my child, do not be afraid when you hear that word. The removal I speak of is not your destruction. It is your deliverance. It is not the end of your soul, but the end of those parts within you that cannot cross into eternal life. You will not be abandoned. You will not be condemned, but whatever cannot stand in the radiance of my holiness will no longer be allowed to remain. The fragments within you that do not belong to my kingdom must be cut away, so that what I originally intended for you can rise. Pure, strong, and shaped in my image. Beloved child, this is not the death of life, it is the death of pretense. This is the moment when everything false within you must fall, nothing left standing. The masks you wore to please others, to shield yourself from pain, to hide from the light of truth, they must all be consumed. For masks cannot pray sincerely, masks cannot love genuinely, and masks cannot survive the blazing presence of my glory. I love you as you truly are, not the image you crafted to make life appear put together. And so, it is by this very love that I will burn away all that dims the brilliance of my glory in you. My child, I see what lies deep in your heart, what no one else sees. I see the idols you've secretly built, the desires you pursue with all your strength, though they were never born of me. The expectations you've placed on yourself, on others, on this world. These have become silent gods that now occupy the place meant only for me. But you were not created to worship control, or fame, or human affirmation. You were created to walk in complete trust in the one who formed you, the one who knows your weaknesses and your potential, and still chose you. Therefore, the things you have tried to hide, I will bring into the light, not to shame you, but to set you free. The sins you thought were buried, the compromises you believed were forgotten, the hidden corners you assumed no one could see, I will reveal them before you, not to accuse, but to cleanse. For I do not want you to carry those chains any longer. They have silenced your voice, clouded your spiritual sight, and smothered the fire that once burned brightly for me. But today, my child, I come to rescue. I come to break. I come to raise what was once dead back to life. And the pride in your heart, no matter how subtle or hidden, must be brought low. For pride cannot walk with humility, and you cannot follow me while your heart remains full of yourself. I will tear down every Babel tower you've built in your mind, every belief that you know enough, every attitude that resists counsel, every quiet rebellion against my direction. Pride is a wall between us, and I will not allow anything to stand between a father and his child. Fear, the silent enemy that has lived with you far too long, must also be cast out. It has disguised itself as a friend, as a voice of wisdom, as a way to protect yourself. But in truth, it is the chain that has held you back every time I called you forward. It has made you hesitate. It has confined you to circles of safety. It has convinced you that at least you won't get hurt. But, my child, you were made to soar, not to hide in a nest. You were chosen to live by faith, not by caution. And faith, the kind I give, will drown out all fear if only you let me move in you. This is the season where I am preparing a holy people, not merely clean on the outside, but purified from the depths within. A people who do not pretend, a people who speak not just spiritual words, but live from souls deeply touched by my presence. And you, yes, you, are called to be part of that people. But to become that, everything false within you must be removed. Everything that cannot pass through the fire of holiness must be left behind. And when that moment comes, when you are willing to let me prune, to let me burn away, to let me rebuild, then you will step into a life that is truly alive, a life no longer sustained by appearances, no longer tossed about by the search for approval, no longer weary from straddling two worlds. You will live in freedom, the kind of freedom that flows from knowing who you are in me. You will walk in joy, not because everything is easy, but because you are certain of the one who walks with you. You will breathe with true breath, breath not drawn from acclaim or human agendas, but from the unending sacred stream that flows from me. My child, I have not called you for loss. I have called you for restoration. But true restoration always begins with necessary breaking. Let me do this work. Let me burn away what stands between us. Let me rebuild you, not as you once were, but as I have always dreamed you to be. One who belongs fully to me, strong in faith, unshaken by any storm. Do not resist this process. Do not cling to what has already died. Do not fear the flame, for my fire does not destroy your soul. It destroys everything that keeps you from burning with holy passion in me. The time has come, my child. The moment is no longer distant. This is the hour for you to rise, not in your own strength, but in the fullness of my spirit. And when you surrender, when you dare to let me lead you through what once seemed like a barren wasteland, you will discover it is the very place where I have long been waiting for you. A place where the counterfeit dies so that true life can rise and remain forever. My beloved, you have wrestled long enough, resisting my hand in weariness you did not even recognize. Each time I drew near, you recoiled, as though I were the source of your pain, when in truth, it was my love touching the calloused corners of your soul. Every time a hidden wound surfaced, you thought I was turning away, that I was punishing you, that I had forgotten. But no, my dear one, what you're walking through is not abandonment. It is the sacred collision of my hand, gently yet firmly turning you back toward the light. I am shaking you, to remind you who you are. Shaking you so you will look again to the one who has held your breath since the beginning. Shaking you so you will no longer turn away in quiet retreat. I know there have been moments when my silence made your heart grow heavy. Nights when you prayed and heard nothing. Times when you hurt and my voice seemed absent. You began to believe I was silent because you were no longer worthy. But that silence was never my rejection. It was a holy pause, a space I crafted so your soul could choose me freely. Not under compulsion or pressure, but because true love awakened from within. I did not create you to be a trembling servant, but a willing lover. One who delights in me by sacred choice. And for that love to flourish, there were times I withdrew, my words so you could learn to seek me not for miracles, but because I myself am enough. But now, my child, I will be silent no more. The days of stillness have passed. The season of my voice has come. I do not come now as a gentle morning breeze, but as a holy roar, like thunder resounding from Mount Sinai. I come to awaken, to shake, to turn the tide. No more delay, no more waiting. No more quiet invitations while your soul teeters near the brink of forgetting. I will not let you drift silently into the unknown without sounding the final alarm. My child, this is the hour in which I shake every foundation. Everything you believed was secure without me will tremble. Everything you've leaned on that I did not give will be removed. Everything you've held out of fear of losing, I will now take from your hands, not to leave you empty, but to make room for what cannot be shaken. I have not come merely to knock gently, but to shake the heavens and the earth, not to frighten, but to make a way, not to cause panic, but to make you know more clearly than ever before what is life and what is death. I am bringing separation, not between the good and the bad, but between what is true and what is false, between what I have planted and what the enemy has secretly sown, between the precious wheat and the worthless chaff. I have come to sweep clean the spiritual landscape of your soul, to remove the clutter, the haze, the lukewarm compromise. For I am the God of clarity, and in this hour there is no more room for confusion. You cannot step into the future I have ordained if you still carry within you half beliefs, half light, and half truths. You once cried out, "Lord, show me the way." And now I am answering that prayer with blazing truth. No more ambiguity, no more hesitation. I will reveal to you, step by step, what must be cut away and what must be held onto with unwavering faith. I will expose the things you thought were right, but were actually barriers between you and me. I will place you at clear crossroads, not to make your journey harder, but to give you the chance to choose life with finality. For the season of wavering has ended. The season of choosing has begun. My beloved, I know this is not easy to receive. I know your soul still trembles, still fears the pain of surrender. But look back. Have not the things you've clung to only worn you down, pulled you away from me, and dulled your ability to hear my voice? Was it not because you trusted in other voices, the voices of fear, of the past, of assumption, that you lost your direction? So now, let me do what only I can do. Wash you clean of every distorted sound, break every limiting pattern, and fill you with true life. Not a fleeting feeling, not human reasoning, but a sacred assurance no one can steal. And in the midst of this shaking you will come to see, instability is not a trap, but grace. Loss is not a punishment, but the miracle that clears the path. The tearing within your soul is not a sign I have withdrawn, but the very evidence that I am making room to dwell fully within you. I do not merely want to touch you. I long to inhabit you. I do not wish to just visit. I desire to make your heart my everlasting dwelling place. So, my child, do not fear the roar. Do not fear the shaking. Do not fear the tears that will fall in the cleansing process. For, on the other side of the roar, On the far side of the trembling, there is peace that cannot be shaken, strength that is not your own but mine, and a life no longer fragmented but wholly restored. And above all, there I am, the one who has waited not to condemn, but to reach for your hand and say, let's begin again, this time with me at the center. Now let your heart respond. Let your soul resonate with the voice from heaven. Let your tears become the river that washes away long-standing burdens. Let your hands lift, not in fear, but in surrender. For I am drawing near. I am no longer silent. And if you open your heart, you will see. I have never been far. I have never stopped seeking you. And it is never too late to begin living as you were created to live, in my light, in my will, and in my unshakable presence. My child, the truth is you are not truly ready for what is swiftly approaching, not because you haven't tried, but because your preparation has remained on the surface. You've armored your flesh, stockpiled for physical hardships, built contingency plans for what you can see and touch. But I ask you, what of your soul? What have you prepared for the unseen storm rising across the spiritual plains, where no human defense can shield you, where no earthly tactic can keep you standing? You have neglected the deepest part of yourself, the very place where I first breathed life into you, in exchange for temporary comforts that soothe your fleeting anxieties but never heal the eternal hunger within. You built fortresses to defend yourself from external threats, yet you left the door of your heart wide open to the very things that gnaw away from within. You learned to manage emotions, but you never learned to surrender to the Holy Spirit. You read books on success, but you neglected the book of life. You listened to the counsel of men, but you ignored the whisper from heaven. And you comforted yourself with the thought, at least I'm trying. But child, effort is not the key to eternal life. Surrender is. And true surrender cannot come from a soul that is unprepared. I have not been silent. I whispered through the restless nights. I sent signals through dreams that seemed insignificant. I stirred your heart in fleeting conversations, passing songs, and random scriptures, but you dismissed them as fleeting emotions. I did not abandon you in the darkness. It was you who shut your eyes to the light. I raised signs of warning with love, yet you walked past them as if they were mere background details in your busy life. You believe you still have time. You think tomorrow will arrive as usual, and that I will remain endlessly patient. But child, what I offer is not an endless schedule. It is a set moment in grace. And when that moment draws near, if you are unready, it won't be because I failed to warn you, but because you refuse to listen. You've been running with the clock of the world, forgetting that spiritual time is shifting powerfully. You've drafted plans for your future, but left unanswered the one question that matters most. Where is my soul in God's divine plan? You have prepared for physical storms with insurance policies, financial strategies, survival tools, but you have yet to confront the spiritual storm. A storm not made of wind or rain, but of the clash between light and darkness, between truth and deception, between the voice from heaven and the noise of the world. That storm is forming, and it will spare no one who is spiritually unprepared. It will not come with loud warnings, but will surge into the soul like a silent wave, sweeping away those who have no deep roots in my word. O child, my heart aches watching you pour yourself into controlling life while your soul lies barren, like land that has never tasted rain. I see you calculating every risk, ensuring all is covered, yet allowing the enemy to sow doubt into your heart daily. I see you working without rest to meet your goals, but forgetting to spend even 1 hour at my feet. I do not rebuke you for seeking stability, but I warn you, there is no true safety apart from me. Every fortress you've built will collapse if its foundation is not my presence. And child, I also see the times you've heard my voice but turned away out of fear of what you might lose. You're afraid that if you go deeper with me, you'll have to let go of what you love. You're afraid that if you truly surrender, you'll lose control of your future. But I ask you, have you ever truly been in control? Or has it only been an illusion? A fleeting sense of mastery that never lasts. I did not come to strip you of everything. I came to replace what is temporary with what is eternal. But you cannot receive the new if you still cling to the old. Now you must face an undeniable truth. The old season has passed. A new spiritual wind is blowing. The shift is no longer coming, it is already here. And if your soul is unprepared, you will not be able to stand in the day of testing. You will be shaken, not because I punished you, but because you lacked foundation. I do not desire this for you. I do not want to see you fall when you were meant to stand as a pillar in my house. So now, my child, begin again, not by adding more to your life, but by removing what is keeping you from drawing near to me. Clear the clutter of worldly worries from your heart. Allow me to till the soil of your spirit once more, so I can plant within it seeds from heaven, faith, obedience, and holy desire. Stop preparing only for what is seen, and begin to prepare for what is unseen, yet more real than anything this world could offer. For the true battle is not fought out there, but within you. And the true victory is not in what you can hold on to, but in the one to whom you belong. Let me equip you with unshakable wisdom, with peace that no one can steal, and with strength that does not come from the flesh. I will teach you how to stand in the storm without trembling, how to walk through the darkness without losing your way, how to live among a chaotic generation without being swept away by it. But for this to become reality, you must surrender. Fully, sincerely, and decisively, for only in surrender will you be truly prepared. And only when you are prepared will you truly live, not merely survive the times that are coming. My beloved, the time has come for you to reevaluate how you've interpreted the wounds of your past. You believed that rejection, closed doors, and moments of exclusion meant I had turned my face away. You thought abandonment was a curse that had fallen upon your life. But today I long to open your eyes to a deeper truth. Hidden within rejection was a gift not wrapped in pretty paper, nor handed to you by the approval of men, but forged in fire, refined through tears, and wrapped in the boundless mercy of my love. You were not pushed out, you were pulled out, not to make you smaller, but to raise you up in holiness, not to cause you loss, but to prepare you for something far greater. Rejection was not your ending, it was the beginning of something immovable. For there are things you cannot receive while clinging to what is old. There are realms of glory you cannot enter if your soul is still burdened by temporary weights. And so I allowed loneliness not to crush you, but to lift your gaze and help you see, I alone am the one who never leaves you. I am refining you, not through grand ceremonies, but through midnight silence. Not through easy triumphs, but through the stumbling that teaches you how to rise, not by your strength, but by my grace. I am stripping away the false armor you've worn, armor of achievement, of recognition, of control, of image, until what remains is the truest part of you, the part I placed in you long ago, now buried under the dust of time and human expectation. And I do not uncover it to shame you, but to heal you. Not to expose you to ridicule, but to release you into freedom, my child. Refinement never comes from comfort. It comes from places you would rather not stay, but places I have chosen to do my deepest work in you. Just as the 3 young men were thrown into the fiery furnace, I did not stop them from being cast in, but I entered it with them. The fire did not consume them because I was in the flames with them. And now the same is true for you. When you walk through the fire I have appointed, you will not walk alone. My presence will be there, not outside the blaze, but in its very midst. Not at a distance, but at your side, burning away what does not belong, but preserving your soul like pure gold refined in the furnace. Yet like them you must choose. You must refuse to bow before the modern idols of this age. Though they bear no pagan names, they still take my place in your heart. They are the self you've pampered, the desire to control every outcome your own way, the craving for success without surrender, the dreams built on instant gratification instead of eternal obedience. You cannot enter the sacred place if your heart still bows to unseen gods, and because I love you, I will not allow them to journey with you on this sacred path any longer. My child, I am about to dismantle the fragile scaffolding you've been leaning on. These may be the relationships you thought would protect you, the advice you trusted more than my voice, or the intellect you assumed would carry you through every storm. But if these things are not rooted in me, they will collapse. And I do not wish for their collapse to take you by surprise and leave you broken. So I am removing them by my own hand, not to harm you, but to rescue you from a deeper pain. I am removing these temporary supports so that you may learn to lean wholly on me, the foundation that cannot be shaken. You've become skilled at hiding the cracks in your faith, in your surrender, in your trust in my love. You've learned how to paint the surface just enough that others don't notice. But I, the one who sees in the shadows, I know every fault line within you, and now I will allow them to surface, not to shame you, but so that I may touch them, that I may mend them with my mercy, that I may heal them with unfiltered truth. I will bring into the light the compromises you once justified, those half-hearted choices you called wisdom, but were actually fear in disguise. I do not allow deceit to coexist with grace, for I do not only bless, I cleanse. I do not merely restore, I refine. And in the midst of that process, you will feel empty. There will be moments when everything you once knew, once believed, once did, feels like it is falling away. But child, do not panic. For when I take away, I am making room. When you feel emptied, it is so that you may be filled. When you are stripped, it is so that you may be clothed with something new. The garment I have woven for you since before the foundations of the world. A new identity, not built on your work, your achievements, or the recognition of others, but on the sacred choosing of my own heart. So, my child, walk boldly through the fire. Do not see rejection as failure. See it as the mark of my calling. Do not let your tears hinder your steps. Let them become testimony that you are being made new, being purified, being prepared to carry something far greater. Something that no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no heart has imagined. The very thing I have prepared for those who love me. I am calling you into a deeper life. Not shallow, not surface level, not a faith of appearance, but a life built upon the rock. A life that does not waver when the storm comes. A life not designed to please man, but to glorify me. And if you respond, if you allow me to do what must be done, you will see. Exclusion is never a punishment. It is a sacred invitation, an invitation to step away from the crowd and be alone with me. An invitation to walk away from temporary approval and receive eternal recognition. An invitation, one that only those willing to lose everything can truly answer, and in so doing, find everything in me. Beloved child, do not soothe yourself with the thought that there is still time, that everything is still stable, that this shaking is something distant. Do not wait until everything collapses around you to begin truly seeking me. Do not delay until the foundations of the world are visibly trembling before you start to tremble inside. For I tell you now, the shifting has already begun. Not in some distant future, but in this very moment as you read these words. What you see in the physical realm is only the surface, the reflection of a deep shaking I have already initiated in the spirit realm. The heavens are stirring. The veil between what is seen and what is unseen is trembling. Not to terrify, but to awaken. You may think that political turmoil, conflicts, and economic instability are merely cyclical patterns of history. But I tell you, child, these are not random shifts. They are the echoes of a greater voice, the voice that resounds from my throne. Nations will tremble, not merely because of wars waged in the physical realm, but because of a spiritual quake that is shaking the very foundations of systems that have long forsaken me as their center. Thrones built on pride will begin to sway. Kingdoms constructed on injustice, exploitation, and greed will find no place to stand. I will not allow darkness to remain hidden forever. Those who bear the title of shepherds yet feed only themselves. Those who preach with their lips but do not live. My word, those who hide my light behind masks of beauty and charm, all of them will be exposed by me. Not because I seek to shame them out of wrath, but because the hour of truth has come. I am the Lord who does not change, but I am also the God of timing. And in this time, I am not coming merely as a gentle breeze, but as consuming fire that burns away all pretense. Those who live for themselves, who seek their own glory, who love comfort more than truth, they will no longer be able to hide beneath the veil of religion. They will be revealed, not by media or public opinion, but by my light, the light that cannot be hidden. And you, my child, do not think that you stand outside of this. You are in the very midst of this confrontation. Your soul is part of this divine examination, not to measure perfection, but to test the depth of your faithfulness. Yet I also want you to know this: those who are truly rooted in me, though they may be shaken, will not be destroyed. They will be like trees planted by the waters. When storms rage, their roots hold fast in my presence, and they will remain standing. They may feel the weight of pressure, but they will not break. They may walk through the fire, but they will not be consumed. They will shine like lamps set on high, illuminating the night that grows ever darker. And you, my beloved child, I have not called you to stand on the sidelines and watch. I have chosen you to become one of those very lamps. I have seen within you a flame, flickering perhaps, but genuine. Though there were moments when it faltered, it has never been extinguished. And now, I come to breathe new life into that flame, to set it ablaze so that it will no longer be a faint flicker hidden in a corner, but a torch burning brightly in the public square of a world aching for truth. But for you to become that lamp, you cannot cling to any remnant of the old. You cannot desire my light while living in the shadows of compromise. You cannot long to be used by me, yet resist my refining. Those I will use in this hour are not the smartest, the most impressive, or the most well-known. They are the ones who allow me to cleanse them most deeply. They are the ones who dare to say yes, even when they do not understand, who dare to walk forward when everything else around them is collapsing, who dare to trust me when every other voice says it's impossible. My child, light cannot blaze if it has never passed through fire. A lamp cannot shine if it has not been filled with oil. And the light in you is no different. It must be ignited through surrender, sustained by spiritual discipline, and sheltered by my presence. If you desire to become someone I can truly use in this generation, you must let me touch the places no one else has ever been allowed to reach. You must allow me to lay my hand upon the decisions you've never wanted to surrender. You must let me call you out of comfort, out of the crowd, out of the life that blends in, so that you may live a life fully, undeniably, and unreservedly mine. I did not call you to live a life of mere sufficiency. I called you to live set apart. I did not choose you to blend into the crowd, but to step forward as a voice, not a voice that echoes what others have already said, but a voice forged in the secret place where you've learned to be still before me and to listen for what I speak without distortion. I am looking for such ones in this hour, those who clearly recognize the source of the shaking and who understand why they've been placed in the midst of it. So, my child, do not be surprised when everything around you begins to shift. Do not fear when familiar doors start to close. Do not be confused when what once felt stable now begins to tremble. It is all unfolding exactly according to my design. Not to tear down, but to rebuild. Not to destroy, but to purify. Not to plunge you into despair, but to usher you into your true destiny. My child, stop pleading for me to bless what I am placing in the fire. Do not beg me to protect the things I am purposefully allowing to fall apart. For the sake of saving your soul, you cannot cling to both worlds at once. On one side, the old, built on foundations of control, complacency, and human reasoning. On the other, the new, sacred, consecrated, and anointed by me. Do not ask me to preserve what I am dismantling, for I am not destroying you, but I will destroy whatever keeps you from living fully in the eternal purposes I have for you. Look closely at what is happening inside you, and you will see My work is not surface level. I am cleansing you deeply, reaching into the hidden crevices of your soul. The plans you once held so tightly they became your very identity. I am breathing the winds of change upon them. The dreams you cherished more than obedience, I am allowing them to crumble into ash in your hands. Not to hurt you, but to empty you. And it is in that emptiness that I can pour in the fullness of my life. For I cannot build the new on top of the old. I cannot release new life into a place that has never died. My child, I do not need you to preserve anything from the past. I do not need you to rescue the parts of yourself that I am calling you to surrender. Instead, I am waiting for one thing: that you would come before me with empty hands, carrying no titles, clinging to no plans, holding on to nothing you deem safe. I am inviting you to offer me the ashes of pride, of ambition, of self-will. Bring it all to me. Offer not what is beautiful, but what is broken. For I do not recycle perfection. I resurrect what has died, and you will see, from those ashes I will build something holy, untainted, unshaken, untouched by circumstance or emotion. I will build upon the foundation of obedience. I will raise up walls formed from reverence. I will cover it with a roof of faith and illuminate it with my glory. What I construct in you will not merely be a moral life. It will be a living temple for my presence to dwell. You thought elimination was punishment. You assumed that when I allowed a relationship to end, a door to close, or a long-crafted plan to unravel, it was a sign of my anger. But no, beloved, elimination is not how I discard you. Elimination is how I reshape you, according to the image I envisioned before the foundation of the world. What I am removing is not your value, but the false covering you've worn, the covering that hinders you from being conformed to the likeness of my Son. So, do not hold on to your former self. That former self, even if it once drew praise from many, even if it helped you navigate seasons of the past, is not strong enough to carry you into the next one I am unlocking. That version of you cannot go deeper into my presence. It cannot discern my voice amidst the noise. It cannot withstand the pressure of the spiritual warfare that lies ahead. It will break under the weight of the unwavering obedience I will require. Therefore, my child, do not mourn what I remove. I do not only remove what is blatantly wrong, I also remove what is almost right. Those things that appear spiritual but are merely a performance. Those things that seem effective but lack the breath of the Holy Spirit. Those things that once carried life but have now grown stale, withered, and no longer bear fruit. All of these will be consumed by fire, and in the midst of that fire, what is true will arise, strong, unshakable, and radiant. My child, I am planting within your soul what I call an unshakable essence. What I am sowing in your heart is not an idea or an emotion, but truth from the throne of my kingdom. That truth will stand when every lie is exposed. That truth will be the foundation for your journey of faith ahead. No longer will you tremble from uncertainty or sway in the face of trials, but you will stand firm in the strength of the one who never changes. And I will not only plant truth within you, I will also pour out upon you power from on high. Not a power to control your circumstances, but to remain steadfast in the midst of them. Not a power to change everything according to your will, but to walk in my will even when things remain unchanged. I will give you a new spirit, not a spirit of fear or retreat, but the Holy Spirit of power, of perfect love, and of divine alertness that comes from heaven. You will see yourself being reshaped, not as one who lives to avoid pain, but as one who lives to bring life. No longer one who strives for approval, but one who walks in the seal of the Most High. No longer distracted by the noise of the world, but one who lives by every word that proceeds from heaven. So then, my beloved one, open your heart. Do not ask me to preserve what has already reached its end. Do not pray for me to retain what I am allowing to pass away. Step boldly into the refining fire, not with fear, but with hope. For I, the one who burns away, am also the one who restores. The one who breaks down is also the one who builds. The one who strips away is also the one who gives. This is not your ending. This is your true beginning. The beginning of a new person, one who does not live for self, one who is no longer swayed by the world, but lives in the power and grace of the eternal kingdom. And on that day, when all around you is being shaken, you will stand, not because you were capable, but because you surrendered, not because you were strong, but because I rebuilt you in a way no one can tear down. And when others look at you, they will not just see a survivor. They will behold one who has been anointed, a witness of transformation, a light in the darkest of times. Be ready, my child, for what is coming is not meant to take from you, but to give you what you never dared to dream. But before you can carry the glory, you must let me remove the ashes. Before you wear the robe I have prepared, you must let me take off the old garments. And when that work is complete, you will step forth, not trembling, not retreating, but radiant, strong, and whole in me. Beloved child, let me open your eyes to perceive a deeper aspect of my guidance, something you may have overlooked amid the many upheavals of life. At times I lead you out of a position, a community, or a place that seemed stable, not because you did anything wrong, nor because you were not good enough, but because I alone know that such a place no longer aligns with what I am preparing within you. I see what lies hidden beneath tranquil appearances. I perceive the silent corrosion slowly harming your soul, and so I act, not out of anger, but with wisdom that transcends all human understanding. On the 14th day of Erzen, do you remember David? It was I who called him from the wilderness. I anointed him king while he was still an unknown shepherd, but between the promise and its fulfillment, I led him through a journey filled with twists and turns, paths many could not comprehend, and years in which he may have felt cast aside from my plan. There were seasons when he fled through the desert, lived like an exile, was misunderstood, hunted, and falsely accused, yet I was never far from him. It was in that very wilderness that I forged him. It was in his solitude that I gave him wisdom, not the kind taught in royal courts, but the kind imparted through the richness of my presence. I took him out of Saul's palace, not because he failed, but because that very place, which should have been fertile ground for growth, had turned toxic. Jealousy, deception, and schemes that could corrupt the soul of the anointed had begun to fester. Had he remained there any longer, what was pure within him might have become distorted, no longer innocent, no longer simple-hearted, no longer filled with reverent fear of me, and because I had destined him for the throne, not merely a throne that demanded leadership skill, but one that required a whole heart, I chose to remove him. I pulled him from what was familiar to draw him into a land where no one knew his name, where it was just him and me. Child, the same is true for you. There are moments when I suddenly shift the course of your life. I shut the door you once thought would lead to success. I allow a relationship to close, a community to drift away, or a significant role to slip through your fingers. You weep, you pray, you ask me why. But today I want you to understand this: not every departure is a consequence. Sometimes it is mercy. Not every transition is discipline. Often it is my loving protection. A chill. I see what you do not see. I hear the whispers behind your back that you cannot hear. I discern the subtle infiltrations into your thoughts that come from environments you assumed were safe. I watch as your heart begins to grow comfortable with praise, with recognition. And if I do not intervene in time, you will begin to live to please others instead of delighting in me. And I love you too much to let that happen. The culmination. I also see the temptations hidden within relationships that appear harmless. Some people come into your life appearing to be blessings, but in truth, they are gentle exchanges that slowly wear down your faith. They may not lead you into blatant sin, but they draw you away from my voice. They cause your prayers to fade. They plant seeds of doubt in my plans for you. And because I am the God who knows the heart, I moved you out, before your roots could settle in what I never approved. There are places which, after a while, are no longer places of refuge, but become toxic safe zones. They are spaces where you no longer grow, but merely survive. Places where the hunger for transformation fades, and all that remains is a desperate effort to preserve reputation. Places where my voice becomes inaudible, drowned out by the noise of expectations, pressures, and competition. And when I see that, I cannot remain idle. I will not allow your soul to be silently suffocated, slowly dying beneath the weight of familiarity, or lulled to sleep by the applause of men. So if you find yourself in a season where no one seems to remain beside you, where everything you once built appears to be falling apart, do not be quick to call it failure. Call it preparation. You may no longer be on the stage, no longer hold a central role, but you are standing before me. And in my eyes, that is the most important position of all. You have not been dismissed from the mission. You are being retrained for a higher level, not because you are wrong, but because you have been chosen for something greater. I am not merely concerned with what you do. I am deeply invested in who you are becoming. A tall building requires a deep foundation. A great light demands a strong current. An anointed vessel must undergo refining, and that refining does not take place in comfort. It unfolds in solitude, in misunderstanding, in the days when it seems like I am silent, though in truth I'm speaking louder than ever. You just haven't yet learned how to listen with your soul. I did not design you to be buried in obscurity. The desert season is not a conclusion. It is the moment when I am sowing, watering, and waiting for the day of blooming. Let your heart find rest in the certainty of this: if I have led you out of a place, it is because that place no longer aligns with the purpose I have ordained for your life. I never remove you without preparing somewhere else for you to enter. And where you are going, it will require a version of you that has been refined, no longer weakened by the flattery of men, no longer confused by conflicting voices, but a person who is steady, humble, and fully guided by my voice. Therefore, my beloved, let your heart rest in this truth. Leaving is not always an ending. Sometimes it is the beginning of something far beyond your imagination. And I, the one who led you out, am also the one who will take your hand and lead you in. Not a single season in your life has been wasted. Not a single tear has gone unnoticed by me. And nothing you've surrendered in obedience will fail to be repaid with something greater, deeper, and more eternal. You were not taken out to be forgotten. You were brought out to be preserved. Not to be defeated, but to be trained. Not to be rejected, but to be prepared. And one day when you look back, you will thank me for not allowing you to stay in what merely felt safe, for blocking what seemed favorable so that you wouldn't lose what was far more sacred. For I am the Lord, who sees ahead, and I love you enough to lead you out, even when you do not yet understand, so that I might lead you into the greatness I ordained for you from the very beginning. My beloved child, still your heart and listen deeply, for there are truths that can only be grasped through the journey of tears, silence, and holy longing. I know there have been moments in your life when the wounds did not come from strangers, but from those you once trusted. I know some of your falls did not happen because you were weak, but because of betrayals you never saw coming, and there have been seasons when you didn't understand why you were being pulled away from the very place you thought you belonged, cast into a barren land where no one remained by your side, a place where false accusations built the walls that separated you from the world you once knew. But, my child, do not be quick to call it a tragedy. Do not label that isolation as a curse, because there are times when it is I, the one who loves you more than you love yourself, who permits the storm of accusations to rise, to push you out of your comfort zone and into a wilderness you never would have chosen, but one where I have long been waiting for you. Sometimes the harsh push from people is the invisible hand I use to lead you to the place where I want you to finally listen. You see the wilderness as a place of abandonment, but in the reality of the Spirit, the wilderness is where I speak most clearly. It is the place where there's no one left to lean on, so you are forced to lean on me. It is where the noise of the world fades, and my voice roars like thunder within your soul. It is where truth is no longer veiled by ceremony or custom, but laid bare, not to shame you, but to heal you completely. The wilderness is the classroom of the kingdom. There are no blackboards or textbooks there, yet every breath, every drop of sweat, every lonely moment becomes a lesson. In that place, I teach you how to walk, not by emotion, but by obedience. I teach you to discern which voice is mine, and which is the echo of your own wounded soul. I cultivate your faithfulness when there is no applause, no audience, no affirmation. I visit you not through grand rituals, but in the stillness of the morning. And it is in those seemingly quiet moments that I plant in you truths no one can steal. My child, remember this. I am the one who intentionally turns chaotic circumstances into training grounds of heaven. Even if your wilderness was born out of deception or betrayal by others, still I can and will use it for wonder. Nothing is outside my control. Even the worst that the enemy meant to destroy you, I can turn into a stepping stone for restoration. I am not the author of betrayal, but I am the one who can use it to rescue you from bonds that are no longer holy. I am not the source of pain, but I can use pain to awaken in you a genuine hunger for me, a hunger not born of comfort, but of a soul-deep thirst. So do not fear the wilderness. Do not fear solitude. Do not dread the days when no one calls your name, when no one checks in, when no one applauds. That is the place where I am reshaping you, where I am refining what is impure, peeling away every self-made layer, and implanting in you a spiritual sensitivity no institution could ever give. It is in that parched land that I will cause new streams to break forth, not from outside in, but from within you. You will discover that you do not need the world's applause, only my approval. You will learn that my presence is enough, enough for you to live, to serve, and to stand firm against every storm. And then, one day, when that season in the wilderness comes to an end, for it will not last forever, you will walk out transformed, no longer swayed by the eyes of others, no longer shaken by loss, no longer needing to be understood in order to obey. You will emerge with eyes sharpened by clarity, a heart fortified by faith, and empty hands ready to receive the new things I have prepared. And when others look at you, they will not see one who merely survived the trial. They will see one who was transformed by it. So, go out to the world and keep it simple. Do not underestimate what I am doing in the hidden places. The lessons found in the wilderness are the very foundation for the glory that is coming. No one is anointed without having first walked through seasons of solitude. No one is elevated without having been misunderstood. No one can lead others without first being led to a place where nothing remains but me. And if you find yourself in such a place, know this: you are closer to me than you have ever been. For it was I who led you there. It is I who remain with you now. And it will be I who brings you out, not by your strength, but by my power. So, my child, open your heart. Let go of your old expectations. Let me plant in you a new perspective, not one that sees the wilderness through the eyes of fear, but through the lens of gratitude. For if I have allowed it, I will surely use it for eternal purposes. And in that place, my voice will no longer be a whisper. It will become an everlasting echo within your soul. From that echo you will walk, not aimlessly, not hesitating, not doubting, but with confidence, clarity, and strength, because it is in the wilderness that you encountered me more deeply than ever before. And that encounter, once it happens, will change your destiny forever. My beloved, in the days to come, you may witness the departure of those who once stood beside you, who once spoke words of support, who once wept with you through the darkest valleys. Some of them will choose a different path. They will no longer walk in step with you, no longer share your vision. Some may leave without a word, leaving behind empty spaces and questions that will not be answered. But my dear one, guard your heart with peace. Do not grieve when relationships you once cherished begin to fade. Do not become bitter when others fail to see your true worth, or when they cannot perceive the quiet transformation I am working within you. You must understand that not everyone is called to walk the entire journey with you. Some were only sent for a season, and when that season ends, their presence in your life will shift. This is not my punishment, it is my protection. For if they continue with you when your paths no longer align, their presence will become a weight rather than a support. They may not intend to harm you, but they will distract you from the revelation I am unveiling. And because I love you, I will not allow misaligned companionships to steer you away from the destiny I have appointed for you. I know this is not easy to embrace. I know your heart longs to be seen, understood, and embraced with genuine love. But there is a truth you must learn to anchor your soul. Not everyone has spiritual eyes to recognize what I am birthing within you. They will look at you through the lens of your past, through the lens of your former failures, through the limitations they've placed upon you. They will confine you to versions of yourself you have already outgrown, to the yesterday that you have already left behind. And if you live trying to clarify yourself to them, trying to convince them, trying to prove your worth to them, you will lose sight of the greater focus. My eyes are upon you, and my hand is shaping you. My child, being misunderstood is not the end. Being unrecognized is not a sign that you've strayed from the path. In fact, sometimes the very silence and narrow judgment of others is part of how I am setting you apart, not because you are superior, but because I am calling you to a different road, one that demands spiritual focus, wholehearted obedience, and a heart no longer dependent on the applause of men. I am teaching you how to walk without needing validation, how to stand firm even when no one fully understands what I am doing in you. For the one whom I send does not need to explain themselves. They only need my presence. And, my child, do not hold it against them. Do not let the wounds cause your heart to close. Do not let the distance give birth to bitterness. Those people are not evil. They are simply no longer called to walk with you in this season. They lack the capacity to journey deeper into the path I have uniquely set before you. You, just as Abraham had to part ways with Lot in order to step fully into my promise, just as Jesus had to go up the mountain alone to pray and prepare for a suffering no one else could understand, so too will there be stretches of the path that you must walk alone. And it is in that very separation that you will learn the most vital companionship is not found in others, but in me, the one who is with you in the heights of glory and the depths of darkness. Do not mourn the doors that have been closed. I am the one who allowed them to shut in order to protect what I am awakening within you. New seasons require new space, and sometimes it must be just you and me to begin again. If you keep longing for what has passed, your hands will not be free to receive what is coming. If you keep turning back to what was, you will miss what I am unfolding ahead, and what lies ahead is not a repetition of the past. It is an unprecedented breakthrough. But to reach it, your heart must be light. You must release the expectations you placed on others, and you must anchor your trust completely in me. I am shaping you for something not everyone will understand. So do not be surprised when some mock you, when others question you, when a few even scorn you. They do not see the hours you have spent wrestling in prayer behind closed doors. They do not hear my whisper in the night as I speak to your spirit. They have no idea the battles you silently endure in the realm of the spirit. And because they cannot see, they cannot comprehend. But I see, and I treasure every one of those moments more than 1,000 praises from the crowd. Stand firm, my child. Keep walking, even if no one walks with you. Keep trusting, even if no applause follows. keep obeying, even when no one understands. Because I do not need the world to validate you in order to fulfill the work I've begun in you. I only need you to believe. I only need you to guard your heart. And when you have passed through the lonely days, through the forgotten seasons, you will come to realize something marvelous. It was in solitude, in the quiet, in the absence of human approval, that I filled you with my very own light. A time will come when you will look back and see clearly. Their departure was not a loss, but a hidden blessing. Their silence was not an emptiness, but a sacred space for you to hear my voice more clearly. And when the new season arrives, you will no longer carry the fragments of sorrow, but instead wear a mantle of power, woven from surrender in the wilderness, dyed in the tears of intercession, and stitched together by unwavering faith. So then, my child, rest in my love. Let those who must go, go in peace. Let those who no longer understand you be free. And you, keep moving forward, steadfast, unburdened, and confident in this. If my eyes are still upon you, if my hand still rests upon you, if my voice still speaks to your spirit, then that is enough. For what I see in you, beyond your past, beyond your weakness, beyond the limited perceptions of others, is the very faithfulness I am forming, the eternal purpose no one can extinguish, and the love that no one can separate. That is why you were chosen, and that is why you will never be forsaken. My beloved child, I know every part of what you have faced and are facing. Not a single injustice escapes my eyes. Not a single harsh word hurled your way goes unheard by me. Not one act of harm done against you is beyond my deepest understanding. When others rise up against you, when they falsely accuse you, when they twist words to distort truth and stain your name, I have witnessed it all. You have not been abandoned in the shadow. I have never turned a blind eye. The doors you once believed would surely open were suddenly shut, not by accident, but by the hand of envy, by selfish ambition, or by hidden prejudice, and I have recorded every detail. I did not merely observe. I did not only know, I cared. But hear me, my child. Do not allow these wounds to govern your emotions or dictate your reactions. Do not seek revenge. Do not let your heart become imprisoned by the desire to retaliate, for vengeance does not belong to you, it belongs to me, the righteous and faithful one. I am the one who handles every matter in ways no human ever could. If you trust me, then give me not only your pain, but also the one who caused it. Let me administer justice according to heaven's timing and heaven's ways, not according to the storms of human emotion. You were not created to harbor the poison of resentment in your soul. You cannot dwell in holiness while clinging to bitterness in your heart. And because I love you, I do not want you to carry that burden any longer. When you replay their words, their actions, over and over in your mind like an open wound that refuses to heal, it is you who becomes the captive, not them. It is you who is bound by memory, by pain, by the weight of disappointment. You may think you are defending your honor, seeking to reclaim justice, but in truth you are drinking from the cup of bitterness, hoping it will harm someone else, when it is you who grows weary from its poison. Don't hold on to it any longer, my beloved. Let it go. Breathe freely. Allow your heart to be unchained. I know forgiveness does not come easily. I know the pain you endured was real, and I do not dismiss that pain. but I am inviting you into true freedom, not by demanding what you believe is fair, but by surrendering to the righteousness of my judgment. The more tightly you cling to the pain, the heavier it becomes, pulling you away from the path I prepared for you. But when you forgive, you are not denying the truth. You are simply refusing to let that truth have authority over your future. Do not let curses or words of contempt define who you are. You are not what others have spoken over you. You are who I say you are. And I call you chosen, treasured, and deeply loved. Others may view you through the narrow lens of their own wounds and limitations, but I see you through the eternal light of my purpose for your life. So do not let their voices speak louder in your heart than my voice does. My child, I am calling you to do something difficult, but profoundly powerful. Bless those who have wronged you. Pray for them. Release them from the judgment you've carried in your mind. For in the very act of blessing you will witness a miracle, not only in them, but within your own soul. To bless does not mean to agree with injustice. It is a declaration that you choose to live above it, to walk by the Spirit instead of the flesh. It is how you remove, drop by drop, the venom that suffering has left clinging to your spirit over the years. You cannot enter the new season while still shackled to the chains of the old. You cannot put on the new robe if your hands are still clutching the tattered cloth of bitterness. I long to give you renewal, but you must let go in order to receive it. And when you dare to bless instead of curse, to forgive instead of accuse, to hand over revenge to me instead of taking it into your own hands, then, in that moment, you are stepping into a deeper dimension of your spiritual walk. You are no longer living bound by the flesh, but led fully by my Spirit. And then you will see, what I do for you will always exceed what you ever hope to reclaim from others. I will not only restore your honor, I will elevate you. I will not only anoint you in secret, I will place you in a public position that the enemy himself cannot deny. But I cannot do this if your heart still burns with unresolved anger. For the throne I have prepared cannot carry the weight of a soul heavy with vengeance. Give me everything you cannot explain. Place in my hands the memories that have not yet been healed. Let me be your defender, for no one understands you like I do, and no one stands up for you as completely as I do. When you choose silence, I will speak on your behalf. When you step back, I will step in. And when you let go, I myself will lift you up. Believe this: every quiet tear you've shed in pain, I have kept. Every act of forgiveness you've extended when no one was watching, I have seen and recorded. And one day you will receive a reward not only in this life but in eternity, because you chose my path. The one that is not easy, but full of glory. So, my child, do not wear sadness like a garment. Do not let the words of others become blades that pierce your soul. You were not created to harbor resentment. You were created to carry my glory. Lift your head. Keep walking. Let love be your weapon and forgiveness your strategy. For you are not a victim. You are a warrior. You are not someone forever wounded. You are one who has been healed and commissioned. And I, even I, the living God, will be with you, protect you, and exalt you at the appointed time. Nothing you lose through forgiveness will be wasted. No act of love you offer is ever in vain, for you are like a seed sown into the soil, and I am the one who will cause it to produce 100-fold harvest. So choose the narrow road of glory. Let go of the pain. Forgive those who wronged you. Bless those who curse you. For when you do this, you are living according to the ways of heaven, and no force in hell can stop what I will do next in your life. My beloved, I know there are seasons in your life when loneliness descends like a heavy, unshakable night. Faces that were once familiar begin to fade. Voices that used to encourage you fall silent. And those you believed would always be by your side suddenly vanish into nothingness. And you begin to wonder, did I do something wrong? Have I lost my way? But I say this to you, not every departure is a punishment. At times, it is I, through my eternal wisdom, who intentionally removes certain people, certain relationships, even opportunities that once seemed vital, so that I may teach you purely, without interference from voices of the flesh or the confusion of the world. You didn't recognize it at first. All you saw was emptiness, isolation, and uncertainty. But, oh my child, sometimes I have to leave you alone, not because I am distant, but to silence all other noises, so that only my voice resounds clearly within your soul. You cannot receive my deeper guidance if your mind is tangled in a web of conflicting advice. Not every voice speaks truth. Not every counselor is sent by me. And if you continue to rely more on human opinions than on the whisper of my spirit, your faith will wither, and your steps will drift from the path I have marked out. There are subtle forms of reliance on friends, on leaders, on people you view as your support. But if I see that your heart is beginning to trust them more than me, I will gently dismantle that dependency. I will allow them to step away, not to leave you broken, but to help you realize that only I remain unchanging, unfailing, and never disappointing. I will let you walk through days when no one understands you, no one lifts you up, so that you may learn to rise not by the applause of man, but by the strength that comes from the voice of your Creator. Do not mistake isolation for abandonment. On the contrary, when I lead you into separation, it is then that I am tending to you more carefully than ever before. Like a loving gardener, I am pruning, not to harm, but so that the tree may bear abundant fruit. There are branches that appear vibrant and lush, but if not trimmed at the proper time, they will drain the life from the tree and prevent the good fruit from growing. And my dear child, I do not seek outward beauty. I am not impressed by fleeting fame or temporary influence. I seek what is eternal, the fruit of holiness, the fruit of faithfulness, the fruit of unshakable faith that endures despite circumstances. Therefore, do not resist when I prune. Do not cling to relationships I have cut off. Do not try to reopen doors I have already closed, even if those doors once felt like home. Perhaps you do not understand why they turned away. Perhaps your heart aches from rejection, from cold shoulders, from betrayal. But I tell you this: they are not the measure of your worth. You do not need affirmation from places I did not send you. You do not need to fight to keep what I have already shut. Let the doors stay closed. Let them walk away. For in that very rejection, I am opening a new path, a different direction, a new season, a greater blessing than you have ever imagined. Do not let your heart waver just because those who once supported you no longer walk beside you. Do not let their judgmental eyes make you forget the gaze of mine that is ever upon you with unwavering love. They see you through old lenses, by outdated standards, but I am doing something new in you, something not everyone will recognize in the beginning. And because I know this, I will not let you live to please them. I am freeing you from the need to be understood, to be praised, to have a place in others' hearts, so that you may walk lightly and fully in my presence. There will be times you feel like you've been demoted, losing your standing, your position, your recognition. But from heaven's perspective, this is not a demotion. It is a lifting, not according to human ranks, but by spiritual authority. I have lowered you from high places, not to shame you, but to prepare you for a greater summit, one that only refined souls can stand upon. You think you've been set back, but in truth, I am pulling you into a season of acceleration unseen by others. When I slow you down, it is so I can rebuild your inner engine, so that when the time comes, you won't just move fast, but you will move with purpose, with stability, and with the power of heaven behind you. My child, let me define success. Let me choose the relationships. Let me lead you, both when you understand and when you don't. For I see the end from the beginning. I know who is truly necessary for the next part of your journey, and who was only sent for a season. And because my love for you runs so deep, I will not allow anything to derail you from your eternal purpose, even if it means taking you down the lesser traveled road, even if it means leading you into a place where no applause is heard. I will still take you there, because I know the reward that is waiting. You will no longer grieve over those who no longer walk with you. You will no longer fall apart when doors close, because you will have learned a precious truth. No door shuts without my hand behind it, and no one departs unless I allow it. And this will anchor your soul in every season, knowing that departure is divine arrangement, silence is sacred instruction, isolation is holy preparation, and what seems like demotion is in fact the first step into a heavenly promotion that no one can stop. So, my child, keep walking, even if you walk alone. Keep obeying, even if no one understands. Keep trusting, even if your eyes have not yet seen what I have promised. For as you step into this new path, my hand will uphold you. As you let go of the voices that mislead, my voice will become clearer than ever. And as you stop searching for human validation, you will enter into an unshakable freedom. A freedom that comes only from knowing deep within, you belong to me. You are chosen by me, and you are walking in the direction I have ordained. Now, offer up your honest prayer to me. You may say something like this: Lord, I know the fire is coming. I don't ask you to remove the flames, but I ask that you be with me in the furnace. Just as the 3 Hebrew young men refused to bow before the image, I too refuse to bow before compromise, fear, or the deceptive appearances of religion. Grant me not only the strength to endure, but the grace to walk through the fire without losing my spiritual integrity. Purify me, refine me, cleanse me like pure gold. Let everything in me that does not belong to eternity be broken off in this refining season. And when I am tested, may I come forth as shining silver. Lord, if isolation is the means for me to hear you more completely, then let it be so. If you need to remove from my life the distracting voices, the misplaced relationships, the false affirmations, then please take them away. I yield to the solitude. I surrender to the wilderness. I accept even the closed doors. If they bring my soul closer to you, speak to me in the stillness. Teach me to live without needing the approval of others. I only need your gaze. I only need your voice. Lord, you see the deep wounds where I was cast aside, blamed, and belittled. I no longer want to hold on to the poison of bitterness. I choose forgiveness. I choose release. I choose to bless. Even if they never understand, never apologize, never repent, I still lift them up to you. Heal me with your gentleness. Anoint my head in the very place that once brought me sorrow. Turn rejection into a garden of resurrection, and grant me a tender heart that keeps on loving, even when it has been wounded. Lord, give me spiritual ears to discern the true voice amidst all the counterfeit noise. Help me not to stumble over things that appear righteous but are far from you. Open my eyes to see what you see, to recognize when help is actually hidden control. I no longer want to walk alongside scaffolding structures. Uproot every wrong alliance, strip away every compromise I once called wisdom. I surrender. Cleanse me so that I may be built on the unshakable foundation that is you, O God. If the wilderness is your classroom, I do not wish to run from it. Teach me through every scorching wind, through every long day of silence. Let this hidden place become the place where I see you most clearly. I do not need a palace if you are not there. I do not need the crowd if I cannot hear your whisper. Use this place to crucify every fear, every habit of self-reliance, and every craving for human praise. Let me live by every word that proceeds from your mouth, not by opportunity, not by power, not by resources. Lord, I respond to you today. I will not wait for tomorrow. I will not waver between two opinions. Today I choose to cross the line. I refuse to live half-heartedly. I lay down the false lights of men to step into the radiant light of holiness. Clothe me in a new mantle, seal me with your Holy Spirit. Prepare my heart so that I will not grieve over what has been stripped away. I offer you every ash, every broken plan, every dream I once held, and I ask you to build what cannot be shaken. I pray this in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. If you love the Lord, don't forget to click subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of the life-giving and meaningful messages from God. Together we will grow in faith and live a life fully immersed in His love. Amen.